Hello, doctors. This is Dr. Bruni here, and I'm here today very excited about the conversation we're going to have because it's very important and very critical, right, for our success as doctors in Canada. And I want to draw your attention to it. So please kindly invite as many friends as possible, so that they can all join us. I'm joined today by our wonderful friend called Lydia May. And Lydia, the numbers are growing. We have people joining from Facebook and YouTube. And Lydia is somebody we're going to listen to. She's an immigrant as well, like many of us. But I'll introduce her at the end of my initial introduction. And today's webinar is going to focus and throw some more light on some very important things that many of us are not paying attention to so far as our conversation and our plan to becoming physicians in Canada is concerned. So please kindly invite as many friends as possible to join. I've already shared a link in all the WhatsApp groups, and I see that the numbers are increasing. Awesome. Please send it to all your study group members, in fact, not just even doctors, nurses, pharmacists, any professional who is, new to Canada or who plans on coming to Canada to know what options we have. So Lydia, I'll be introducing you at the end of my my brief intro, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so you'll be hearing more from Lydia as the presentation goes on. She'll be covering a bunch of important things for today's presentation. So I'm just going to start the fact that we've gotten to a point where we need to make sure that we get our success by design. That is why we got the title of this particular presentation as Success by Design. Success by Design. Okay, now I want to welcome you so that we can all get into the presentation. And the reason for today's webinar is we want to demystify the journey that many find overwhelming. That is your pathway of becoming a licensed physician in Canada, because many people are confused. And today I'm going to highlight on a very important part which many of us don't pay attention to, especially with the opening up of many practice-ready assessment options, where you have places like Nova Scotia and British Columbia, which are even saying you can come in without MCQ1 and NAC-OSCE. A lot of people are asking, is there the possibility of doing some form of specialty after you get into the family medicine route? And we'll be answering this particular question. Now, what we have to understand is that success for IMGs does not happen by accident. No. Success for IMGs happens through structure, through strategy, and through support. And this is what I call as the 3 S's for strategy, for success. Structure, you need structure. That is why at MedCognito we make sure that we provide you structure. Strategy, that is why I'm always talking about the fact that, look, if you can get your QE1 in, get a clinical assistant position, which helps you to get into the system, and then you can get a rest going. Or if you want to apply directly to Nova Scotia or BC, you can look at those ones. Okay, so I really want you to understand that these are the 3 principles we want you to focus on. Okay, and by the end of this webinar, you will understand that there's a clear understanding of the licensing pathway, which we all know, a step-by-step strategy for you to succeed, a plan for you to prepare emotionally and financially, which is also very critical. And that is why Lydia will be taking the second part of the presentation, and a clear picture on how your career can grow even after becoming a Canadian physician. So that is where I'm going to introduce the other specialties you can get in, whether you are going through the CAMS route, which is to go through the residency route, or to go through the practice-ready assessment route, right? And then an introduction to Windmill Microlending, which is a powerful partner that helps IMGs to reduce their financial pressure. So we are about to get in, and that is why I'm very excited about it. I'll not speak for long, and then Lydia will take over because today's session is for her. But this session is designed for IMGs at various stages of our journey. Number 1, whether you are a new arrival. Number 2, whether you are in your mid journey, so you've been here for like a year. Okay. Number 3, IMGs who are preparing for QE1, NAC-OSCE, TDM, even IELTS, OET, the Quebec language proficiency exam, FM Pro C, CASPA, all those exams. And IMGs who are wanting to go into the practice ready assessment or the residency pathway, as well as IMGs who are struggling with finances and burnout. For me, that is the critical part. That is where today's presentation will focus on more. And IMGs who are also seeking clarity of what they want. Now, so let's lay out the pathway from today to your Canadian licensing journey. We know that you have to get your educational credentialing assessment done through Physician Supply. And please, if you don't know how to do that, just send me a WhatsApp on +1 306 891 5649 and I'll guide you through that. Okay. And then you need to know that for some provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the rest, Ontario, you need your QE1. Some even request that you do your NACOSKI. And then, of course, if you are going to get into your practice ready assessment pathway, you need a therapeutic decision-making exam. That is for sure. And for those who want to go into the residency pathway, that is when you need a CAMS application to go through. Then after all these things, it all leads to one thing: independent practice licensing in Canada. So this is just a quick broad view of the roadmap ahead of you. Now, what are the common mistakes IMGs make while preparing to get into the Canadian medical system? Number one, rushing into QE1 early. And it all boils down to what Lydia will be talking about today. The reason is because many of us, we go like, oh, I've come from Nigeria, from South Africa, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan. The little money I brought, let me use it to register and go into the exam. And I've even had conversations with people who go like, Dr. Bonnie, I just wanted to try. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you are trying an exam, which is 6 hours. You've not prepared enough. And you just think that, oh, just because I'm a practicing physician, it's going to be easy. No. So that is one mistake I've seen, rushing into the QE1 too early. And over again, oh, I just wanted to see how the exam is. No, doc, don't forget that you have just four options for this exam. So you have to make sure that every opportunity given you, you take it very well. Number two, poor sequencing of exams. I'll not talk about that today, but you realize that in the videos we are making on our YouTube channel, we focus on that. And then underestimating the time needed. And then many people also prepare without structure, as well as some doctors also prepare by ignoring feedback. They just ride in blindly. But for me, the last bit is very critical, where many people don't address their financial limitations. And why am I saying that? Because then the person picks up a job, the person doesn't have time to study, the person comes back home tired, and because of that job, it's also undermining the person's exam preparation. And today, that is why I've brought Lydia. So for me, for your success plan, I think 3 things have to come together to make it successful. Number 1, your academic readiness. Number 2, your mental and emotional readiness. And doctors, please, if you agree with these points I'm making, kindly type yes in the comments. Okay, just type yes in the comments. So your academic readiness, your mental and emotional readiness, and your financial readiness. And the financial readiness part is something many of us don't focus on. So for the academic readiness, clear sequencing of the preparation, mock exams, weekly structure, the errors you are making and how you're going to take note of those errors and how you're going to think like a Canadian physician, as well as the mental and emotional readiness. For example, last week I had a candidate. She's preparing for QA1. Mother died in Nigeria. She has to travel to Nigeria for just 5 days. Bury mom, come back and come and write the exam. I go like, man, this is tough. And these are the things I've faced with. I've in fact, especially for my colleague Nigerians, I've had to sit and watch YouTube videos of some of them, go back. They share YouTube videos of the burial of some of their families. Some send me pictures of, the whole ceremony. And I go like, my goodness, like we are trying to write an exam and we are also trying to deal with all these issues back home, right? And then avoiding burnout. Some people are writing the exam, going through a divorce, writing the exam, trying to work at the same time. And it's really, really tough. But then the part I want to look at is the financial readiness. This is where most IMGs struggle. Doc, look, you cannot succeed academically while you are drowning financially. And that is why we are going to talk with Lydia today. So please, if you have all your questions, make sure that you bring it out. This is why Windmill Microlending comes in. Okay, but then let me address that issue I raised before we get into Windmill. Can I become a specialist, or can I get into a niche area after I go through either the family medicine pathway through CAMS or the family medicine pathway through practice ready assessment? And that is the truth, yes. Because many IMGs believe that if they enter through family medicine or through PRA, they are limited. But that is not the truth. And today, if you have any question after this conversation, please reach out to me. And whichever specialty you want to go into, we can have a roadmap to that. Number one, Doc, you can specialize. Number two, you can build advanced skills. And you can even evolve into niche areas. So if you don't know this, I'm going to share this. I'm going to share the link to this in the comment section. Okay. We call it certificates of added competence. You realize that a lot of people don't talk about this, because for many people, they think, oh, it's all about I did family medicine and that is all. No. Doc, I've sent it in the comment section. Certificates of added competence. There's that option in Canada. And what are the areas? Number one, you can get a certificate of added competence or specialization in addiction medicine, even after you've gone through family medicine. Number two, care of the elderly. So that is geriatric medicine, right? Number three, emergency medicine. And if you want the pathway to any of these, I can even take my time and design YouTube videos for all of these in the future. Number four, enhanced surgical skills. So this goes for those who are general surgeons, obstetricians, who go like, okay, I'm taking the PRA pathway to become a family physician. Is there an option for me to showcase my skills of doing hysterectomy and all? Yes, there is that option in Canada. And it's because we don't talk about it, right? But I am already a practicing physician. I'm in the system and I understand how some of these things go. And then even for those colleagues who are anesthetists already, or you had a strong interest in anesthesia, there's also what we call the family practice anesthesia. And for those who did obstetrics and women's health, you can do that as a specialty after your practice ready assessment or your family medicine residency program. And then if you are interested in palliative care, that's also awesome. Or sports and exercise medicine. And even for the other specialties like plastic surgery and the rest, there are ways you can, find yourself into them. But I'm not going to waste your time. But I just want you to know that these specialties are there for you. Doctors, please, I want to know in the comment section, did you know about this? If you did, say, type yes. If you did not know, type no, I did not know. If you knew about this, like that after your family medicine path, because of course, for those who want to go into the residency to do the various specialties, it's already there. That's the specialty you want, right? But then a lot of people don't know that in Canada, in family medicine, there are these certificates of added competence. So if you are interested in surgery and you didn't get a surgery CAMS match, you can still do your family medicine and then challenge for that +1 where you learn laparoscopic surgeries and the rest. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people did not know. And I will take my time in the future to, someone says, look at this. Someone says, I taught only family medicine. No. You can do emergency medicine, you can do geriatrics, you can do all sorts of things, anesthesia, all of that in Canada. Yeah, all of that. Okay, sure. So the two routes to getting the certificate of added competence are, number one, if you go through the residency match where you get your family medicine position, then after that you do what we call a +1 in that, or you can go through the practice ready assessment route, and then after that you can go and challenge these things, especially if you already have the knowledge, then you can easily do it. So what I want you to understand is that you are not on this journey alone. No, but with structure, with strategy, with mentorship and financial support, especially because of today's presentation, you can and you will succeed. Your Canadian medical journey is valid. And the path to getting into all these things is real. And your success will be by design and not by accident. So I want to introduce you to Lydia, right? Lydia May is a proud Canadian, and she's going to walk us through that. She is the partnership and development lead at Windmill Microlending. And her purpose is that she helps skilled newcomers to restart their careers. That's what Lydia does. Okay, so we have someone very important. She's an immigrant, she's a traveler, she's a storyteller, right? And she has explored over 50 countries. And now she mentors immigrants like you and me through what we call the Eyes to Nice YouTube channel and her podcast. Usually she uses a lot of humor and heart as well. And she shares real life tips on building a successful life in Canada. So what I will do is I'm going to transition from my presentation, and then Lydia will take over and she will do what has to be done. So Lydia, thank you very much. You can unmute yourself and then take it from there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruni. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I really loved your words that you have to do some work, but you need to know your pathway. And in a second, I'll talk about that as well, because as you mentioned, I have two hats. So one hat, I work for Windmill Microlending and I'm helping immigrants. And on the other hat, I'm helping immigrants as well. So through my YouTube channel and through my advice. And a little bit story about me. So originally I'm from Russia, came to Canada in 2014. And, like for me, I love Canada. I think it's the best country in the world. And I always tell, like, you might have a different opinion, but again, then maybe you shouldn't be in Canada, right? So like if you can go to any other country and be happy here, then why to stay here and be miserable if you don't like it much? But yes, so we will talk a bit more about that, but I'd like to start with my presentation about Windmill and this wonderful organization, which actually can help you on the way to your career in Canada. And actually, yesterday I attended an event, and basically, like what happened, that event was for internationally trained pharmacists. Okay. And I met a lot of internationally trained pharmacists, and I realized that a lot of them, they might succeed in Canada, but a lot of them, they might struggle. And why? Because like for those who I think they might succeed in Canada, it's because they have this knowledge about the pathway, how things should work. They are looking for help, they are looking for resources, they understand that exams are very hard and maybe they need some prep courses as well. And they understand that money might be low and they may need some organizations like Windmill. And the most important thing, they have this positive mindset. Okay, like I'm gonna make it through. And just in the beginning of my presentation, I want to encourage you guys, like when sometimes you feel deep, you need to understand, like look around, look at Dr. Bruniak, look at like a lot of people who are in Canada, who are immigrants, and they made it through. They made through their exams, they made through their difficult, and now they're successful in Canada. So I hope that the same will happen to you. So I'll share my screen. Dr. Bruni, do you think I need to share my screen, or now like it's already shared?
It's shared already.
Yeah. Oh, it's shared already. So if I start advancing my slides, it's going to work. Yeah, just a disclaimer. It's my very first presentation on YouTube. So it's kind of interesting, but yes. So Windmill Microlending, and Dr. Bruni, please tell me if my slides are
they're moving well. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So what do we do? Windmill provides affordable loans up to $15,000 to skilled immigrants and refugees, those who seek to achieve their career success in Canada. And like very often when I present, at first like people assume that we are a bank or we are a financial organization. And I always tell that no, we are not a bank. Windmill actually is a government-funded charity. And here you can
really? I didn't know that.
We are funded by the government of Canada, Ontario, Alberta, and Quebec. And even if you don't see your province here, it doesn't matter, because Windmill is a national organization. And actually, the story behind Windmill is a beautiful one, and I think it might relate to many of our listeners today. So Windmill was founded in 2005 in Calgary, Alberta, where actually I am. And there was a doctor. She worked for a Calgary hospital, but unfortunately now she passed away. But that doctor, she was so sad to see that a lot of cleaners and janitors at that hospital back at home, they were doctors, they were nurses, right? And that's why she decided to gather some powerful people in Calgary, some organizations, and then she started 5 loans for those people who work at that hospital. And you know what happened? Of course, like people, because they were already internationally educated, so all they needed to have that bridge between their situation and Canadian situation in terms of certification. So they passed their exams, they returned to their profession, and today they're successful and a great testimony for Windmill as well. So in 2005, we started with 5 clients, but today we have helped more than 12,000 people. So here I just wanted to show you what makes us unique and how we are different from any financial institution. So first of all, we don't require our clients to have Canadian credit history, but understand me right, I always tell in some way it's better not to have any credit history in Canada than to have some and not a good one. So of course, we are going to check your credit history, but let's say if you're brand new to Canada, you just landed, and then you have already a plan, so you know what you want to do. And then of course, if you just landed, you didn't have time to build your credit, so your credit history might be 0. So, and then still you can start your process in order to become a doctor in Canada. So be aware, we always check your credit history, just it's not a requirement if you don't have any. So same idea here, we don't ask you to have a stable income or to have a stable job, because we understand that you can live off your savings, you can live off your EI, maybe some government support available to you as well. Because again, while you're on the way to your career, so becoming a doctor or any medical professional, so it might take you some time to get to a stable job, right? And we understand that. Also, of course, we don't ask you to have any assets to secure a loan or have a consignor on your application. So how our microloan can be used? So first of all, it can be used for foreign credential recognition. And I believe that a lot of people today on this call, or if you are watching us, you are going through a foreign credential recognition process, or you are about to do so. So foreign credential recognition process means that, let's say if you were a doctor back in Russia, back in Syria, and now you're here in Canada, you cannot work as a doctor. And and I always tell to some internationally trained professionals, when they tell me, well, but I was a doctor back home, I was a pharmacist, I was a nurse, so why now I cannot do my job here? And I always joke, since I'm originally from Russia, in Russia you can get a degree or diploma for one day, just because if you know the right people, right? So in Canada, people just want to be sure that your degree is real, that you have your experience, but also the most important thing, when you are here in Canada, and maybe Dr. Bruni can agree with me, things are working very, very differently. The same how I was at that event yesterday for internationally trained pharmacists. I had a talk with a lady from the Philippines, and now she has been in Canada for 20 years. She's a successful pharmacist in Canada. But what she told me at first, when she came and she started working at the pharmacy as an assistant, she was like, oh my God, everything is so different. The system is different, how you communicate to your clients, what kind of prescription and everything. So she recognized that. And that's why she realized, okay, I need to go through this foreign credential recognition process, and not just in terms of exams, but maybe in terms of some prep courses, in terms of understanding Canadian culture and things like that. So foreign credential recognition is needed. So please try to do your best to go through foreign credential recognition process. So the second thing is the career change, but career change might apply to your friends or family, right? So if you have somebody who is new to Canada and they feel like they want to go back to school, maybe they want to upgrade their education, get a micro credential course, or just do something completely new, become a plumber. So we might be able to help that person as well. Professional development or upskilling is for those who are already successful in Canada, and if they have some desire to get a CPA designation, CPHR designation. So it's for all those who would like to transition, not to transition, but get some designations in order to improve their work situation right now. And the last thing here, relocation for employment within Canada. But how does it work? It works in that way. So let's say that you land in Ontario, and then you're trying to find a job there and you are unsuccessful. Then you apply for a position in Calgary and suddenly you have a job offer. So in this case, we can help you to relocate to Calgary if you have a job offer. And I always tell, I've been to almost every province in Canada except Newfoundland, and I do believe that Alberta is the best one. So one day, if you're in Ontario or BC and you can find a job and suddenly you have a job offer from Alberta, come and we might be able to help you. So here, just to show you our eligible expenses. So exactly like Dr. Bruni said, when you are preparing to become a medical profession in Canada, sometimes it's not enough just to go and pass an exam, because a lot of things might happen. You might be not ready, but also your psychological state. For example, today is Sunday and I'm presenting to you guys, and I have a daughter, she's 6 years old, and now I'm praying that she is quietly playing somewhere and she won't interrupt my presentation, right? But the thing is, if you have kids at home, right, and you need to prepare for the most difficult exams, then they might need to think how you can pay for a daycare, and daycare is unfortunately the expensive in Canada. So in here you can see that Windmill doesn't cover just the cost of your exam, doesn't cover just the cost of preparation for those exams, but also we cover living allowances. And living allowances, again, they're very important because sometimes, and I have been working for Windmill for 4 years, and through my YouTube channel, I work with many immigrants as well. I'm a public speaker, and I hear from people sometimes they even tell, listen, we have the money, but we have the money for the tuition fee because again, we had savings and something, but we are struggling with living allowances. So if you pay, so our money is not a lot. And then if we pay for one part, then we won't be able to pay for another part. Or let's say somebody might even have free courses, they're fine with their exams. But again, what's the point if they have registered for their exams, but then they don't have time to prepare because they have to work as an Uber driver to feed the family. So be aware that Windmill doesn't cover just your courses and prep and exams, but we also cover living allowances like daycare, rent, utilities, and groceries. Again, it has to be related to your educational plan. But if you tell us, well, I need to buy a car, so then it might not work. But if you tell us, hey, I have a child, I need to prepare for my exam, then we might pay for the daycare cost as well. So now one of the most probably important slides for you. You might be wondering, okay, we are not for profit organization, but still, it's an affordable loan, but you want to know how much money you're going to be paying. So here you can see details about our loans. So First of all, our loan, the minimum amount is 2,000. So the maximum amount is 15,000. So if you want to take less than 2,000, it might not be possible. And same if you want to take more than 15,000, it might not be possible. And I understand when you're becoming a doctor or a medical professional in Canada, you might need even more than 15,000. And a lot of people, like sometimes, like they ask me, like, hey, like if I pay off my loan, can I apply for a second loan? Yes, only if you pay the maximum amount of 15,000, then you can apply for a second loan. So our interest rate is a fixed one, so it's not a variable one. And you can see here that we have actually two options. Why? Because for the healthcare professionals, we have an interest rate which actually matches the prime rate of Canada. So you won't find a cheaper interest rate in Canada today. So today it's the end of November 2025, and our interest rate is 4.45. Because you are in the health care, that will apply to you. If you have friends or family and they're wondering, but how much they would pay, so it's 6.20. And on the right side, you can see a calculation for 6.20, but we can kind of easily guess what your payments would be as well. So let's say if you take like 10,000 at 6.20% for 3-year term, and your period of study is 12 months. So let's say you're preparing for your exams, like you're going through a bridging program, then the exam time, and it might take you 1 year. So during that time, if you want to pay less, you can be on a grace period. So grace period means that during your preparation to your profession in Canada, you can pay the interest only. So, and then you can see in this example, so first 15 months, so it says first 15 months, because thank you. My daughter came to
say. That's your daughter.
To me. Yes. So first 12 months, you are studying, you're preparing for your exam, you go through your pathway. Then after that, when you pass your exams, you have 3 months on top to find a job, because we understand after you're done with your certification process, you might struggle to find a job. So that's why it says first 15 months, because for 15 months you can be on a grace period. And then your payments will be around $51. But again, if your interest rate is 4.45, then your interest rate might be around $49, something like that. So for 15 months, you will be paying each month around $49. And then after that grace period, we will ask you to pay the principal plus the interest back. And then your payments will be around $300. And Windmill has been around for more than 20 years. And I always tell our medical professionals, pharmacy, doctors, nurses, the repayment rate is so high for them. And you know why? Because they're successful in Canada. It proves that when they come to Canada, they might struggle in the beginning, but then they attend presentations, something like that. They learn how they can succeed in Canada as a medical professionals. And then they even pay us earlier. So they don't wait until the end of their term. And also when they pay us earlier, we don't have any penalties or administrative fees at any time. So if you want to apply for a loan, if you want to check if you are eligible, and in the end I'll share some links with you, you can do that. And even before you apply for the loan, everything is transparent. So we are a government and funded charity, so we have to be transparent. And then if at some point you feel like you're not ready, it's not for you, then you can just finish your application and then I can come back to it later. No strings attached. We won't charge you any penalties or administrative fees. So now I'd like to show you this interesting slide, and it's just an example. And why I wanted you to see that, because we're all coming from different countries. In the beginning of my presentation, I mentioned that I'm from Russia. So and when I came here, and it was 2014, back then in Russia, idea of that credit history just started. And like when I came here, my dad was helping me. I went to a school here in Calgary, and my dad was helping me. But when I was told, oh, you need a credit card to build your Canadian credit history, of course I did it. But when I called my dad and I told him, listen, I got a credit card in Canada, so he started literally screaming at me. And he was like, why do you need a credit card? Don't you understand? Like, it's so bad. And now you have your savings and I'm helping you. You don't need a credit card. So like this mentality of like every loan is bad exist in Russia, and I understand it's kind of exist with me in my mentality. But through the years, I've changed it a lot, and I realized that sometimes loans can be good. And for example, now I have like a travel and credit card. Soon I'm gonna again to 3 different countries, and I don't pay for my tickets only because I use my points, right? So like, and same idea here, when immigrants are coming to Canada, they're thinking, why do I need to take a loan? Maybe I can like save, right? And the great part shows what might happen to you, like if you decide to save. Again, it's not like for sure, but trust me, like we have this data, and at Windmill, when our clients are successful, like they're telling us, I wish I could have learned about you earlier, because then I wouldn't have spent 10 years working in a survival job. So the great part shows like if somebody, they don't have a chance to return to their profession or get a new one in Canada. So for the first 10 years, they might not make a lot of money, because again, if without credentials, it's hard, right? So like then they might work in a survival job, and then eventually they might start making more money. But the green part shows those money which they will never get. So the green part shows actually a successful scenario for like almost every immigrant in Canada. If in the first 2 years they get back to their credentials, or they apply for a new career, then of course like they can earn more money, right? And I want to talk a little bit more about that, because as I said, like I have 2 hats. Like on the one hand, I'm a partnership manager at Windmill Microlending, and on the other hand, I'm a mentor for immigrants. And my YouTube channel is called Eyes to Nice. And you know why? A lot of people ask me, oh, it's because of the weather. Because if somebody lives in a very hot country, and then they come, let's say, to Calgary in the middle of the winter, they feel cold. And I say, yes, on the one hand, it's that, but it's more about mentality. And what like Dr. Bruni was mentioning in the beginning, right, the psychological like mindset. Because if you don't have the right mentality, guys, I can guarantee you it's gonna be very hard. And Eyes to Nice meaning like when you first like you are in Canada, and then like you feel like you had these expectations, right? So because friends and family were telling you, come, it's so easy to get a job, I never think it's gonna be fine. But in reality, like it's very high expectations. I'm not telling that it won't happen to you. It might. But everything, as Dr. Bruni said, it takes like effort, it takes time, it takes the strategy to understand what to do in order to return to your profession. And when you start like going through your like story here in Canada, you will meet different people. But I want to just briefly show the people I know, and these are my friends. And I wanted to show you that we all so we came to Canada like many years ago, but some who came just recently. And you can see basically their names, and you can see how they got their first full-time job. And I understand for medical profession, their first full-time job might be slightly different, because when you look for a job, the process might be different, but we will talk about that. But still, I wanted to show you that people are getting jobs through different places. They are getting jobs through networking, through volunteering, through Indeed. They're getting a job through a job fair. And some of them, they don't have a full-time job yet, but I know they will have it soon because of their mindset is the right one and the positive one. But anyway, why I wanted to show you this people? Because I wanted to tell you that you always have to remember that each career journey is different, because you can hear like Dr. Bruni's story, you can hear my story, right? And then for you, the most important thing, you need to have a positive mind, and you need to try to have this balance in life. Why? I'll tell you why. Because again, since I work with many immigrants, like some of them, they're internationally trained doctors, pharmacists, engineers, and they come to me and they say, listen, like at home I was this and that, but now I have to mop the floors. And I always like I can tell them, well, it's like if you want to live in a good country, and Canada is a good country, then unfortunately sometimes you have to start from scratch. And when you're starting from scratch, your expectations, they're like, oh my God, I had this, but now I'm in this situation. And that's why if you're outside of Canada, I do encourage you, have realistic expectations. Like for example, me, when I was leaving Russia, I told my friends and family, I might end up working at McDonald's. And everybody was telling me, but why? You're so smart and you have this awesome job. Why you would be working at McDonald's in Canada? And I said, because in the beginning, nobody knows me. And it takes time like to confirm my credentials, to return to my profession and things like that. And that's why, like, if you're outside of Canada, and even if you're already here, I'm pretty sure you're going through rough moments sometimes. And sometimes you are happy because like you passed your exam, and sometimes you're sad because you didn't pass your exam, right? And here it's very important to have this balance. I always tell life, it's like this line, right? So when we win a lottery or we buy a car, then we go up here because we feel happy and excited, but we cannot stay up there unless we are doing some drugs, right? But then like what happens when we live our life and something bad happens to us, then we go down. And the thing is, it's very easy to stay like down. So you cannot stay up all the time, but trust me, you can stay down like for till the rest of your life. And I've met immigrants like that who unfortunately they are unsuccessful because like they couldn't return to their profession. They don't like Canada. And I always tell like, you have been here so many years and the whole life you are unhappy. So maybe right in the beginning, know if Canada is your country, if you want to be a doctor here, if you want to be a pharmacist, right? Because like if you don't make those decisions, then it's going to be harder on your pathway. And again, remember, don't stick with negative stories, right? So listen to Dr. Bruni, listen to me. Like, why I'm not telling don't stick with negative stories? Because you will hear, oh, it's so hard to become a doctor in Canada. It's so hard to become a pharmacist. It's so hard to become a nurse. And yes, it's hard. It's not easy. But the most important thing, what you should remember, and especially if you're in Canada already, go to a walking clinic, go to a pharmacy, look at those people who work there. Like I'm telling you, 90% of them, they're immigrants. So like they were in the same situation where you are now, but they made it through. And I always tell they're not like some kind of miracle people, right? But just like they did the things right. They found the right organization. They prepared for their exams. Like they never say it was easy. Like again, at yesterday's event, I've heard like people were telling me, oh, it was hard. I had my daughter, but then I had to prepare for this exam. I had to work 2 jobs and things like that. Yes, but usually it's some time, but after that, like you're doing just fine. So you might be wondering, but what do you need to do? And today you're already doing a lot. So you're attending this presentation, you're following MedCognito. So like you are thinking about your pathway in Canada. And as Dr. Bruni said, yes, like, and I agree 100%. You need to know your education and your pathway in Canada. Why? Because like, like if you don't know that, then it's very hard to make the right move, right? So when you know that if you need a bridge training for your profession, right? And for example, for pharmacists in Canada, in Alberta, they need to go to University of Alberta for a bridge training, right? So when you know that, then you you think strategically, right? Same idea if you go through like a certificate or diploma, university degree, maybe in order to become a doctor, you need to get like some more education requirements. So, but then you need to be prepared. You need to know that. And of course, you need to be sure that you know your educational pathway. And I really hope that you guys know yours. But if you don't know, here just an example what Windmill has on their website. So if you go to our website, you can look for your educational pathway. And here is just an example for a medical professional. But technically, like, even if you feel like, okay, I don't understand my educational pathway, then ask online, ask Google, ask ChatGPT, right? See like what you need to do in order to get into your profession. And of course, you need to have a career plan. And some of the people, they tell me, oh, I don't know, like I still need to pass my exams and then I'll figure it out later. And I always tell, no, like don't repeat my mistakes. Because when I came to Canada, I didn't have a career plan. And it took me much longer to find my job in Canada, which I really wanted to do. I spent time and resources once for learning French because I thought I want to work for the government of Canada and I need French. Then 6 months, like no French after that, and a lot of money were wasted, right? So like that's the thing. When you have your career plan, even in the beginning, it helps you to get to your destination much earlier. Because like, I always tell it's like a GPS system. So let's say you want to drive from Toronto to Calgary. If you have your GPS, if you have your map, you might be here like much sooner. If you're traveling without a GPS, without a map, you will still get to Calgary, but it will take you much more time. So same idea here. Have your career plan and put it on the top. And of course, as I mentioned already, remember, lower your expectation and know it's okay to start with an entry-level job. Why? Because don't look at that entry-level job that, oh, it's something like I didn't do at home, but look at as a stepping stone, right? So where you can learn about like Canadian culture, understand why people do so much small talk, right? So we are coming from a lot of countries, we don't do small talk. We don't like it. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find the video on a small talk, because like small talk is very, very important in Canada, right? It might open a lot of doors for you. So, and when you get that entry level job, you need to be a good observer. So you look around, you see what people are doing, how they talk, how they behave, and then eventually you're becoming one of them in some way. You're not losing your personality, right? But still, like, you understand the game is different in Canada. It's very, very different than in Russia, than in Nigeria, in Syria, right? So like, and it's not like it's a bad game, it's just a different game. And you need to learn how to play this game. Remember when we were kids. So if you don't know the rules, you cannot win the game. Here's the same thing. You just need to learn the rules to win the game. And you need to build your professional network. And you might say, well, I'm a doctor, I'm a pharmacist, I'm a nurse, I don't need that. It's only for office people. But it's not true. You really need that. Why? Because, like, again, just as an example, my yesterday event for pharmacists. So like when I had a talk with that lady who came from the Philippines, she told me she was very strategic. So when she came to Canada, in order to pass her exams, prior that, she found a job as a pharmacy assistant at the pharmacy in Calgary, right? So she didn't have that, oh, but I cannot be an assistant, like it's an entry-level job. I was a pharmacist back in Manila. No. She was very smart. She found this job as an assistant, right, at that pharmacy. So, and it helped her to prepare for her exams, right? It helped her like to understand how pharmacies actually work in Canada. So same idea here. While you're preparing for your exam, you take like prep courses from MedCognito. Still, if you have some spare hours, try to use them strategically and smart, right? See a profession which might help you even like in your future job. So again, if you have a career plan, you have your ideal future job. So at least try, if you start with an entry level job, those jobs somehow can give you skills which will be beneficial in your like next job, right? But you might tell me, but what if I feel about networking like this way, right? So I don't like it and it's terrible, like I don't have soft skills, I don't know how to smile. What should I do? And I always tell, like, networking is like when you're coming to Canada and you're thinking that networking is just about to get a job. It's not true. Like, you can attend events for internationally trained doctors, you can attend conferences, right, for pharmacists. And like, when you're attending those conferences, don't think I need to get a job. Think about it as a professional development. I need to meet up with people. I need to connect with those owners of private clinics. I need to connect with those owners from private pharmacies as well, right? So think about that you are just going to an event, not to get a job, but build your network. Because sometimes when I hear from people, oh, like, why immigrants have to do a lot of networking in Canada? It's not just immigrants, trust me. My husband was born here. He has been doing a lot of networking for his job his whole life. So everybody in Canada has to do a lot of networking. And if you don't like it, just try to think about more like, okay, I need to attend an event or something like that, and build this connection. Because if you were not born here, you didn't go to school here, you are lack of these connections. And now, because you are kind of on the way for you to becoming a doctor in Canada, think what events might be relevant to you, even not now, but to your future job as well. Because trust me, you never know who you're gonna meet. And if you're an introvert and you feel like, oh my God, it's a lot to do, maybe consider volunteering as well at those events. Because I know I've heard from some introverts, even if they don't like attending events, they feel like more secured if they have a task to do. So, and if you are at that event and you are like a volunteer, and then like you can register people, do something like simple, right? But then still, what it might give you, you will observe the room, right? Like you will see how many people talk, how they communicate. You will be familiar with some names, with some organizations, with some faces. And trust me, in the future, it will pay off a lot. And of course, like, you need to put technology to work for you. These days, like, there are tons of like career resources on different websites, right? Like you can find a lot of like things through ChatGPT. Again, like if you don't understand which province like would be best for an international trained doctor, you go on ChatGPT and you talk to ChatGPT. Of course, always check what ChatGPT is telling you, but still, like, it's very important for you to know like how to work with technology. And to be honest, like, this slide is a bit old from Windmill, but like this days, I think AI just replaced everything. So technically, you don't need to go to the website of the government of Canada. You can just like search through ChatGPT a lot of things. And of course, like, you can check out our Skilled Immigrants Career Success guide. It can help you a lot on the way to your career. And of course, like as Dr. Bruni said, you need to have a solid financial plan. Why? Because like things are expensive in Canada, but not in a bad way that everything is so expensive in Canada. Just recently I was in India and things were cheaper there, right? But again, it's a different country. And if you want to live in Canada now, I guarantee you, all over the world, Australia, Great Britain, Canada, all of these wealth countries, they're expensive. And that's why when you have a solid financial plan, it helps you a lot. Because you know how many people I have met in Canada who would tell me, well, it's my first months in Canada, I'm thinking to buy a new car. And then like I'm like, okay, but do you understand it's expensive, like buying a new car? And to tell me, well, it's just like no payments, like let's say $500 a month. I was like, do you understand $500 a month? It's like more than $5,000 a year. Like this no money could fly you home for Christmas to see your family. So like same with cell phones. Oh, I just need a new cell phone. It's just $100 a month. No, it's not $100 a month. It's $1,200 a year. So again, it's quite a significant amount. And so you need to have like understanding from where you're gonna get money, especially for internationally trained doctors, because prep courses, they cost money, exams they cost money as well. And what if you don't pass it, right? So what if you decided to transition to an ultrasound technician, and it happens a lot, right? But if you don't have a solid financial plan, then it's much harder for you to succeed. And of course, like, look at programs like Windmill, look at grants as well. Some of the provinces I know in Manitoba, there are some grants available because they're trying to keep people in. So like, and if you look at different provinces in Canada, each province has their own rules, and it always surprised me, and I'm pretty sure it surprised you as well. But especially for the healthcare professionals, right? Like, you can have one requirement in one province, a different requirement in another province, and that's why when you have a solid financial plan and you have all of the information, it's easier for you to return to your profession early, because like you have this kind of knowledge about each province, like about each grant and each program as well. But like from my perspective, of course, I'm telling you, Windmill is the best program in Canada, but there are some others that we want to check as well. So, and please keep in mind that we are also like, we are not just like an organization which provides affordable loans. We provide you with a lot of additional resources as well. Why? Because we want you to be successful and we want you to pay us back, right? So like, we provide you with a client success coach, we provide you with career planning resources, with financial literacy training, and even we provide you with a mentorship program. How our mentorship program works? It works in that way that, let's say if you are an internationally trained doctor, you are taking a prep course with MedCognito, and then you're planning to pass your exam. You can ask us to match you with a doctor who is already successful in Canada and who will guide you on the way to your career as a doctor in Canada. So same apply for any other profession as well. Just a couple of slides left, and I'd like you to stay for the Q&A part, because that one is usually the most interesting one, and maybe me and Dr. Broniak, we can have a nice conversation about the mindset and how like having the right resources actually is helping. So just to brag a little bit about Windmill, if you Google us, we have 5 solid stars from every client. Also, like, our average repayment rate is a little bit more than 95%. And you know why? Because our clients are successful. So if you think about that, like, we don't ask for many things because we are not a bank, and still they're paying us back. They are not running away, and we have this solid data that they increase their income more than 3 times. And of course, it happens in a very understandable way. They start with something small, with a survival job, then they're returning to their profession, and they can make more money, and they can recommend it to their friends and family, and our net promoter score is very high. So just to talk about our eligibility, and I'll tell you in the beginning, if you don't see your kind of status and here, don't be disencouraged, because then like I can share some link with you, especially if you're on a work permit right now, then we can see like how we can work with you as well in terms of maybe like still go through your documents, and eventually like when you have a permanent status, like we can approve you. But now I'd like you to know our main eligibility criteria. So first of all, you need to have a permanent status in Canada. So you need to have a permanent residency status. You can be on a work permit, but if you have a provincial nominee approved, so it can be from every province, like it can be from Alberta, from any province. It can be from Alberta, from Ontario, from BC. So if you're on a work permit, but any provincial government says we want to keep you, then it's kind of your permanent status in Canada. Then you can be a Canadian citizen, but by Canadian citizen, I mean those who are like me. I'm a Canadian citizen, but I was not born here. So those who are immigrants, and then they became Canadian citizens like through their time in Canada. So the last thing here, it's a conviction refugee or protected person. So same idea, if you are still waiting for that letter of decision from the government, on your status, you're not eligible for our acne loan. As soon as you get that, then you become eligible for our acne loan. And of course, we ask you to be internationally trained. So you need to have at least 1 year of post-secondary education. Or if you don't have it, like maybe again, I know you all guys have, but maybe it's for your friends and families, then we can take into account their work experience, which is shown on their resume outside of Canada. So in some way, we are not interested in the things like inside of Canada, just your credit history, again, if you have one. But like other things, like they have to be outside of Canada, because we need to show how like you're transitioning your skills into the Canadian job market, right? So, and basically almost like the last slide. So how you can apply for the loan. So like you can apply using this specific link. Why I'm asking you to use this specific link, because it helps me to see that you guys are coming from this webinar, you're coming from MedCognito YouTube acne channel, or from any acne channel, but you are coming because you watch this webinar. Of course, like you can apply through our acne website, and this acne link will bring you to the web acne site as well. And maybe I'll share this link in the chat acne box that you guys have it. But also, like if you go to our acne website and you are asked, how did you hear about us? Please at least like type MedCognito. It will help us a lot to see how we are doing and how like my job is going with presenting and everything. And basically that's almost it, just the last slide to convince you that everything is possible in Canada. So like on the left side, like you can see me, it was my first presentation for Windmill Microlending, and it was almost 4 years ago, or even more than 4 years ago. And the thing is, when I came to Canada, and I'm a very confident person, I'm from Russia, and Russian people are very confident, but I always was saying I will never be a public speaker in Canada. And I was saying, because my English is not perfect, sometimes I'm stammering, so I have some issues. And then when Windmill, they hired me, and I was terrified to present. And it was my first presentation for CPABC, for Chartered Accountants in British Columbia. And I'm smiling at the camera, but I was terrified. When my presentation started, my heart was just pumping, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna screw up. And I didn't, but it was not great, but it was okay. But the thing is that since then I have become a public speaker in Canada. Now I present in front of hundreds of people, and I have no hard feelings. I'm completely fine. I'm happy. And also just recently I started my YouTube channel. I was on the news, and it's see, if it happened to me, to a Russian person, who I was growing up in Russia, no smiles, no small talk. Here I've learned how to do that. So, and now people who knew me 11 years ago, and they know me now, they tell me, you become too Canadian. And I'm no, I'm not too Canadian. I'm a Russian citizen with a Canadian passport. But also I learned the game. I learned the rule of this game, and I followed the rules, and then I won, right? So, and I wish the same for you, for everybody on this call. So please, please, please know the game and follow the rules. And of course, ask for organizations which can help you on the way to your career in Canada. Basically, that's it. That's the end of the official part of my presentation, but I will be happy to stay for the Q&A. So if we have some questions, please stay with us. So I think I need to stop sharing my screen. See, I've done it good, hope, on my first YouTube live. We have some questions.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful, Lydia. Thank you very much for throwing a lot of light on it. So you know what, doctors, please, you can drop your comment in the comment section on YouTube or on Facebook. I will read it out, and then Lydia will help us to answer it. So Lydia, the first question someone is asking is this. I'm going to put it on the page. It's coming from Dr. Dawood Siddiqui, 7026. He says, how to repay. How to repay.
How to repay? And this is a great question. How to repay? How to repay our loan? So let's say if you take like 10,000. Or let's say 5,000 at first. So when you apply for a loan, you tell us why you need the money for. So like if you come to us and you tell, I need 5,000, but I don't know what for, then of course you might not be approved. So you need to have like a clearer idea. So I need 5,000 for the prep courses through MedCognito. You obtained an acceptance letter from their school. Then you tell us, okay, first I need this money for the course, but then I need to register for the exams, so it will cost like this amount, right? And then basically what happened, if we approve you for loan, so you will start paying the very first months. But first, you will be on a grace period. So while you're on the way to your career, you are preparing for your exams, you are going back to school. So for maximum of 24 months, you can be on a grace period, meaning you will be paying the interest only. So like you will be paying like something around like for 10,000, like something around like $49, like $50 each month. Then when you are done with your preparation, so you have 3 months to find a job. And after that, we will ask you to pay the principal plus the interest back, and your payments will be around like $300. So like, but again, if you want to pay us earlier, you can pay us earlier. Like, but no strings attached. We are happy for you. It means you are successful. You can become a windmill success story. And actually, if you go to our website, you see tons of stories, like from real people from different countries who made it through. So, and basically, that's it. It's how you pay us back. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And even before you apply for a loan, then you will see a loan calculator, and you can adjust that, like your payments, like you can see, okay, how much time you have to pay us back. You might opt out to be on a grace period, or you might want to pay like the principal plus the interest back as well. So yes, and Dr. Bruni, I was wondering, should I share a link in the chat box and everybody is gonna see that link? Like,
is it a link to register?
Like how they can apply? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
I've already sent it to them.
Okay, great. Yeah. And I can share in the chat box, right?
Sure, please share it in the chat box.
Yeah, that's great.
So
I'll share some useful links with you guys.
Someone says, beautiful presentation, straight to the point. So that's good. Okay, so Lydia, there's this other question which just came. Do I need to be enrolled in a prep course before I can apply?
Mm-hmm. So of course, like it's not like you have to be enrolled like with the course, but you have to tell us what you're gonna do with the money. If you check if you wanna be enrolled with a prep course, then for sure you're coming with a paper from MedCognito and you're telling us, hey, I need money for that. But for some people, and I understand that, like as Dr. Bruni, he mentioned that like some of you might not take a prep course, right? And even I think it's like, I don't understand the industry, but I think it's highly encouraging to take a course. But if you decide to challenge the exam, you just tell us, hey, like I need this money for the exam, for the cost of the exam and for the living allowances, because I have kids at home, I have a full-time job, I want to quit my job and I want to fully prepare for this exam. Then like, yes, like you need something, like, so you need an explanation why you need the money for. And of course, if you have an acceptance letter from a school, it's always great. Yeah.
Good. Someone says, and I think you've already answered this, but someone is asking this question, so I'll bring it up. Can we pay our course fee as well with it?
Cost fee, could you clarify what does it mean, cost fee?
So maybe the course, like maybe they're taking a course with MedCognito, can they pay?
Oh, yeah.
With this.
Oh, yes. Like you can pay for the prep courses like with exact money as well. And also, actually, the good thing is if you're registered with MedCognito or you've paid for your exams and you put it on a credit card with a high interest rate, so then you can actually you have 6 months to resubmit your receipts. So you can come to us and say, hey, I've paid for my exams, I've paid for MedCognito classes, but it's on a credit card. The interest rate is 25%. I don't want to do that. I want to have 4.45. So then like you can do that. You have 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, so that means if somebody has used their credit card to pay for MedCognito course, they can then come to Windmill and say, MedCognito, please give me a receipt. I'm taking it to Windmill. Instead of paying 25% on that credit card, I'm going to use money from Windmill to pay that credit card off and rather pay 4.5%. Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, like that's very good. But remember, yeah, it has to be all documented, right? So we need to see, and and sometimes people, they borrow money from their friends and family, and they don't want to do that. So yes, just check with us first if you're eligible for a loan, and then start your process, and it can be done. Yeah.
Sure. So yeah. Lydia, any final words? Doctors, any other questions for Lydia? She's available. If you have any questions, just ask and she'll sort you out. Okay. All right, Lydia, I've seen the link. I'm sending the link again to them. Like I've been sharing it so that they can when they contact you, you know that they came through MedCognito. So it says, someone says, that's wonderful. I was about to ask same as I paid through credit card. So it looks like there are a lot of people who have paid with their credit card and they have high interest on that credit card who may be coming to you to switch it, like so they can get the money, pay off the credit card and rather get a very low interest. That's beautiful.
And it's beautiful. And I think like what you guys are doing, it's beautiful as well, right? So you're not just preparing people for the exams, you're preparing them like that. It might be hard, right? And they need to have a plan, right?
Yeah. So this one says, some of us do not have a status in Canada at the moment, so we can't access it, right? So the person is asking a question that if you don't have a status in Canada, does that mean
you don't have a status yet, so but probably you are on a temporary status. You might be on a study permit or work permit. Then in this case, I will ask Dr. Bruni just send me an email, and I might share a link for those who are with the work permit now, and then just we will see maybe we can start the process again. We won't be able to give you a loan if you don't have a permanent status in Canada. So but at least if you know what documents you need, if we can start, and then when you have it, then you are you will get it faster. But from my experience, again, I have been presenting for the last 4 years for Windmill, and I have people who attend my presentation, and at the moment of presentation, they are not eligible for our loan, and then they come after 6 months to us and they tell, hey, I got my provincial nominee approved, or I got my lending papers, I got my peer status as well. So for us, you don't need to have an actual permanent residency card, but you can have lending papers as well, because I know first when people they land in Canada, they don't receive a card straight away. So yes, we can look at those documents. Same for refugees, if you have that letter of decision, so then you can apply with that letter of decision as well.
Good. So Lydia, someone else has this question. So Dr. Sarah 3048, I hope your question was answered. Lydia, someone has this other question. Doctors, keep the questions coming. We like the questions. It says, how long does it take to process if eligible?
If eligible, it shouldn't take long, and also if it depends on your story as well. For example, for some people, right? So if you have your documents ready, if you answering your emails and your calls, so it shouldn't take no longer than 15 business days, so 1.5. But also for some people whose credit score doesn't have any questions and it's good, then it might be even faster, because in this case you don't need to meet with the client success coach, because if your credit score speaks for itself, then we believe you can be faster tracked. But let's say if you don't have any Canadian credit history, or your credit score has some questions, then we want you to meet with the client success coach. It's a meeting on Zoom, so it's around 45 minutes. It's just for us to see that you understand like how the credit score works in Canada. So like you understand how like what might happen if you don't pay us back and things like that. So we want to just give you some financial literacy training. So and then how quick you can meet with that client success coach, because you might be working or you might miss your email. So that might take a little bit longer than the fast track process. But usually, yeah, I would say 15 to 20 days, it's kind of safe.
Beautiful. Lydia, last question. Maybe if another doctor brings another question, what should we have asked that we've not asked you in this webinar?
Sorry, can you repeat something?
What question do you usually hear that we've not addressed in this webinar?
Like, I don't know. It's a very I can take 4 hours about a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure that you can do the same. Yes. Right? Like there, I think a lot of things. Plus, like we need to understand who is listening to us, right? Because some of the people, they're quite familiar with the pathway, but some of the people, they might they don't know where to start, right? So but I always tell the key to the success in Canada: know the right organizations, know your pathway, and know how to use ChatGPT. And then everything will work for you. Have this positive mindset. And yes, and you can check my YouTube channel as well. I have a lot of podcasts where I talk to successful immigrants who are actually they know they struggle in the beginning and then they become successful. Learn some things, especially soft skills. I always tell soft skills are very, very important, because you have to understand you're coming to Canada and you're an internationally trained doctor, smart and everything. But then 100 other doctors are competing with you, right? 100 nurses, they're competing with each other. And it's and in order to get that one job, one placement, then those things how you can smile, how you can create a small talk, how big is your network, that will make a huge difference, right? Because we are all smart, right? Those who are coming to Canada, we all have 5 degrees. I usually joke, right? But then we are competing with each other even without knowing that. And that's why me, because sometimes I hire new people, I'm participating in the hiring process, and I can see it's very hard. And sometimes I would talk to 3 persons and they all have the same mindset, the same skills, right? The same resumes. But then how I choose, it's exactly, I need to see how much they have done, if they go above and beyond, right? If they smile, if they send a thank you email. So things like that. And for you, especially if you're an internationally trained doctor, right? Doctors, they work with a lot of people. So soft skills are very important. And for example, and I understand that it's hard. For example, I have 2 family, it's not 2 family doctors. I have a family doctor who was born in Canada. And then I have a walk-in clinic nearby, and I have a doctor there. He's from Nigeria, for example. And he always ask me, why you have a family doctor in one clinic and you come to see me? And I'm telling him, but my family doctor is far away and you are 5 minutes from here. And he's but why you cannot switch to me? And once I told him, because you scream at me, he's very direct. And then I like the person, but at the same time I feel more comfortable with my Canadian born doctor, because she has more soft skills, right? And I'm pretty sure they're both great doctors. But it just sometimes yes, you need to know how to adjust yourself for some of the people, right? Some of the people, they don't care. They're looking for this direct approach, right? But some of the people, they might be probably it's not for me. And same when you're trying to get a job as a doctor. Some of the clinics, they might like that you are very direct, but some of the clinics, they might be hesitant to hire you if you are too direct and you tell a patient, you're gonna die in 2 days, right? So like without like sugar coating those things. So yeah, it's very interesting. Like, but of course, like don't be disencouraged if you're very direct. Just maybe learn that there is a different type of directness in Canada, right? So
sure. So this is a very quick one. It says, how can I use my credit card to get free air tickets using points?
And for that, you need to watch my YouTube videos, my friend. Like, go to nice. But I can basically tell you in Canada, and I'm pretty sure in every country, like in almost every country all over the world, now, like every credit card comes with some benefits. Like some of them, they're coming with Cineplex points. Like Cineplex is the cinema in Canada, right? So some of them they come with cashback, and some of them they come with travel points. And same as I said in my presentation, how you want to become an internationally trained doctor, you need to have a strategy. Here's the same with your travel points. You need to have a strategy. So let's say if you love going to movies every Saturday, then of course I can get a credit card with Cineplex points. If you love to see real money in your hands, then get a credit card with cash back. But if you love like traveling like me, get a credit card with travel points, right? And then like you put everything into one basket. And in one of my videos, I even tell, usually for investments, people say like, hey, like you need to separate your things. But with credit cards, I'm a strong believer you need to put everything into one basket, because then you build your points faster, you build your cashback faster, and things like that. But yes, please check that out. And remember, same like for everything, you need a strategy. You have a strategy, you talk to the right people, you talk to the right organizations, and you will be successful in Canada.
Beautiful. So please, that is Lydia's private.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. Yeah.
Well, that's right. I'm sharing the link as well in the comment section. So if you want to go, listen to how various people have done it. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay, Lydia, there's this other question which just came through, and this person is saying, does this loan come on our credit history as well?
Yeah.
And he gave a follow-up question, like, does it affect the credit score?
Mm-hmm. These are great questions, and I can see a person is like you're on the right way, and curiosity is very good. So like some of the people, like sometimes they ask me, so when I apply for a windmill loan, is it a hard check on my credit or not? So, and I'm not an accountant, but I can tell you for sure that yes, of course, like a couple of points might go down, but you have to understand if your credit score is good or is okay, a couple of points like you will get them back when you start paying like the loan back. And also keep in mind how I understand that if for one day you apply for a car loan, you apply for a windmill loan, and you apply for a house, then your credit score might go down like more than just a couple of points, right? But then if it's just one check, like don't take that into account. And also, yes, when you apply for a loan with us, it goes on your credit history. So let's say if you have 0 of credit history in Canada, when you're paying back to us, then you're building your credit in Canada. So like we are not a bank, we are 100% a not-for-profit organization, but we do work as a bank. So we do check your credit history. Just the main difference, again, if you're brand new to Canada and now you are attending this presentation and you are outside of Canada, and then you have a plan, okay, I land in Ontario, like in any province, and then I signed up with MedCognito, and then I signed up with my exams, but I don't have my credit history. Still, if you have a permanent status, you're internationally trained doctor, you might want to try and apply for our loan, because again, 0 credit history is still good. And also keep in mind, in Canada, for some organizations, it's better to have 0 than to have your credit and not the greatest one, right?
Good. So Lydia, you have some compliments here. Lydia was exceptional speaker, very informative speaker. Okay.
And I can tell you a funny story. When I was an international student at a college in Calgary, and I was so afraid to present. And one day, like when I was a presenter, I was not like confident. I was like, how I'm gonna be talking in English, right? And usually I don't drink at all, but then I just drank a little bit of red wine just to feel more confident. But now I don't need anything, right? Because again, it shows like with your practice, like, and same if you don't have soft skills, like just practice, you will get there.
Beautiful. And Lydia, there's this question which just came through. It says, if someone is from the United States, does that person need to have permanent residence in order to be successful in Canada? Or what would be the process for a US citizen?
Like it's maybe like a question for you, Dr. Bruni, but like I've heard that people who are coming from the States, it's also complicated. It's not so easy. It depends on your profession. For example, just recently I talked to an ultrasound school, and they told me like, well, if you can actually challenge an exam to become an ultrasound technician, even if you don't have any education in that area. And then I was like, but how? Because you can take an American exam and they recognize that, right? So like the system is very tough, but like I can answer your question. You don't need to have a permanent resident status to be successful in Canada, because I know a lot of stories, right? And people who are still on a work permit, they're very successful in Canada, but you need to have a permanent status for some programs, like for example, for us, right? You need to have a permanent status. And when it comes to regulations, like you might have some better choices if you're coming from the States, but because I'm not in the profession, so I cannot tell you that. But I would suggest you to go to a regulator website, a Canadian regulator website. Start first with ChatGPT, right? So ask ChatGPT, and then just double check, go to a regulator. But I always tell ChatGPT, at least it helps you to understand just some basics. And then like when you go to a regulator website, you know what to look for, right? So like do that, and then it will help you a lot. Yes, but like since you're coming from the States, you already have an advantage probably of English language as well, right? Because when you take these exams, they're all in English, so like it might be very challenging. Yeah.
Good. So Lydia, everyone is saying thank you. It's been awesome. Thank you. So doctors, thank you very much. And I will still share, a link to Lydia's YouTube channel, and then a link to, if you want to register with Windmill as well, use this link so that they will know that you heard it through MedCognito, and then that will be that. So Lydia, what are your final words? And then we will wrap it up.
Oh, my final words, just as I said, guys, have a strategy, have a career plan, listen to MedCognito, listen to regulators. And as I told you, every time you feel down, especially if you're in Canada, just take a walk, go to a pharmacy, go to a walk-in clinic and see those people who made it through and have them as an example, right? Because again, if you complain, it won't bring you anywhere. Trust me. I used to complain a lot. And my first years in Canada, I was telling, oh, things are not working the same. Why is they doing this? Why are they doing that? And the moment I actually stopped asking why, so things started working for me. When I realized that Canada is a very different country, it never had communism, it never had a dictator in power. So that's why it's the way it is. Yes. So when our new countries, they have been through a lot, right? So we had different system, and that's why things are working different in our new country. But here, the moment you stop comparing, things will become better. You still can compare when you are deciding if you want to stay here. So I can compare those things. Do I like an air pollution here? Do I like that my school, my kids are like a safe when they walk in the streets, right? So compare those. Where you want to live, but don't compare things how they work here. It's just a different country, right? And also a new country. And I understand the process for IMGs. is a complicated one, but I can tell it's getting better.
It is.
Even like yesterday, I talked to a pharmacy and they told me, look, like 10 years ago, you couldn't get a prescription at the pharmacy. You needed to go to a doctor. Now, for example, in Alberta, they can diagnose you and they can prescribe you something, right? And for me, I look at that, woo, so we are moving, right, towards something. And I do believe that eventually the process for IMGs, like it will become better. They want to remove it and they shouldn't, because I want to be sure that the doctor I'm seeing has a real degree, right?
Yeah.
So but they might make it faster. They might speed up the process. In terms of money, as I said, unfortunately, everything is expensive, but that's why you have organizations like ours. So, but good luck. Don't be disencouraged. You'll do just great.
Good. So, doctors, thank you very much. Don't forget, if you want to reach out to me, if you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me. Where is my presentation? If you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me at +1 306.
You're gonna be busy.
Oh no, I leave my phone out all the time. They contact me all the time. Yeah. +1 306 891 5649. +1 306 891 5649. Again, +1 306 891 5649. Doctors, it was wonderful, and I hope that our next webinar we will get more insight and also dig deep into our exam preparation. Lydia, thank you very much. Thank you to the Windmill team and all the wonderful things you're doing in Canada. Stay safe. It's raining, it's snowing, it's cold, Christmas is coming. Please make sure you get yourself, in good shape so you can spend time with your loved ones. Thank you very much. We are signing out. All the best. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.